In my previous sketchbook videos, some of you asked me what kind of supplies I use. And I figured that instead of replying in a boring comment, I will just show you in a video. So today I will be making a sketchbook spread while using my favorite tools and art supplies, and I will talk you through on how I use them. An important note to start, none of the supplies I'm using are sponsoring me in any way. I bought most of these myself. There are a few which were gifted to me back in my journaling days, but I already fulfilled my barter obligations with them and I no longer do barters, so all of the opinions you will hear in this video are 100% authentic. Let's get into it. We're starting with the sketch. I usually use either a mechanical pencil or a colored pencil. This time I chose the latter. It's nothing special, just a colored pencil that I've had back in elementary school, but I'd like to use it up because I like it. Since you can't actually see me sketching, let's move on to the first proper art tool, which are the Umton watercolor pens. I bought these separately and made this little set out of them in this tin box I already owned. I started with the red, blue, yellow, brown, white, and black, and later added the cyan and magenta for more color variation. You can't close the tin now, but I don't mind. Now, I use them awfully. Anyone watching this who knows how to use watercolors is probably screaming and pulling their hair out, as you shouldn't be mixing the colors straight on the pans. But look, I'm just having fun. What I'm doing now is setting the tone for the scene. I want this to be a little snowy winter wonderland, so I chose shades of pink and purple as my base colors. I use the watercolors like that. They will work as a base for the markers. It's way less daunting to paint over this than on a blank paper with a sketch. Plus, it unifies the colors and the whole piece feels cohesive. I love how they blend, but I'm too impatient and hate waiting for them to dry. The Umton brand isn't one I would necessarily recommend, as these are the most high-end watercolors I've ever used. I chose them because they sold them in a shop nearby and I could pick the colors in person by looking at the swatches, which was nice. If you want to give these watercolors or any more expensive brand a try, I would recommend you to also pick a few pans in the primary colors and just try it out before you commit to a full set. Just choose a shade you like of each of the primaries. Now we're moving on to water-based markers. The first ones are the Tombow dual brush pens. I bought a few of these about 8 years ago for my journaling, and they are still working perfectly. I started using them for my art as well, and since then I got many more shades as I simply love them. I like to use them in my sketchbooks for landscapes especially because they can be blended with water, and though there is a bit of streakiness, as there is with every water-based marker, their coverage is very nice, and the landscapes will handle a bit of streakiness. Plus, there's this super cool thing you can do with them. If you put a bit of ink from a darker marker on a non-porous surface, like I'm doing here with the plastic cover of the kneaded eraser, and then go over that ink with a lighter marker, you can get new shades very easily. The lighter marker gets back to its original color after a few strokes. I used it on the house here because I didn't have the perfect wood color I wanted the house to be, so I mixed an orange marker with a beige one and got pretty close to my idea. Tombows are definitely a tool I would recommend. Yet again, you can start with getting just a couple of marker colors you like to get a feel for the tool. Picking out your favorites out of the big stack in the stationery store is a part of the artist experience. Next up, we have the Zebra Mildliners. This is technically more of a journaling tool, and I would say they definitely work better in a journal than as an art supply. However, I'm currently missing a nice blue Tombow, and the turquoisey and blueberry blue are a nice substitute. I would absolutely recommend these as journal supplies. I love them very much and their colors are so iconic. As art supplies, they don't work as well, so you're better off buying a different brand that is actually supposed to be used in art. Now, the Stationery Island brush pens. I was actually gifted these for journaling, and I was okay with them, but then I started using them for art and I just love them so much, which is a tragedy because they don't seem to exist anymore. The colors are so rich and deep, they work with water really well, and the brush nib lets you create the tiniest of details. I got the winter set and I would happily buy all the other seasons, but they don't exist in the EU and are actually sold out on the official website. I'm still very sad about that, and I will keep looking for them. and hopefully maybe one day I'll find them. I was trying to find markers that would make me as happy as the Stationery Island ones did. I decided to try the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer set. I'm so sorry to every German that had to experience that. Of the 20 watercolor markers, the Czech branch of the company actually asked me whether I'd like to do a review of them in exchange for a set, and I said no. Because I'm not comfortable with doing barter stuff anymore. And then a couple of months later, I went and bought these with my own money. So I guess here's the review they asked for. They're okay, I guess. I don't love them, but I don't hate them either. One of the markers is leaking, which makes it hard to work with, and I would appreciate for some of the shades to be richer. Like, I'd love a nice, deep, rich red or green, like the Stationery Island. But they do blend really nice with water. Before we move on to other supplies, I wanted to demonstrate how well all the water-based markers work together on these trees. And also because I wasn't too happy with the way I drew the tree above. So I wanted to try again. Doing one color base yet again helps to unify everything, and I love how the pink Tombow, shade 850 if you're interested, contrasts with the Faber-Castell blues. I also did one in green and layered light blue and light yellow Tombow to create light green. By the way, see how deep that Stationery Island green is compared to the other colors? I like to add details to my marker drawings, and I usually either do that with colored pencils or with fine liners. Like these Arteza Inkonic pens in the set of 48. Full disclosure, these were also gifted to me like 5 years ago. I probably wouldn't buy such a big set myself. Though there's a nice color variation in it, I'll give them that. I think I should have chosen the colored pencils here for this picture because the fine liners made the scene a bit too harsh for a cozy snowy view. But I wanted to demonstrate, and you know what? Today we are just having fun with some supplies. It's about the process, not the results. I also love to use black liners. I mostly use them for writing, but sometimes I will do a marker sketch just to get better at my line control. My absolute favorite is the Centropen, which is a Czech brand, document fine liner in 0.1. I also like to use the Marvy Uchida, which I keep calling Uchiha, like Sasuke. Sasuke-kun! Because they are even thinner than the Centropen 0.1 and therefore allow me to do super tiny details. And I do love my details. We're moving on to the art supply that I always wished to own as a child. Alcohol markers. They are known for their even coverage and bleeding through most papers. You might be thinking, even coverage? What do you mean? That pink you're using is so streaky. I know. The marker is almost done, which is a shame because it's my favorite color. But the great thing about Copic, which is the marker I'm using right now, is that you can buy refills. So you don't have to throw the whole marker away when it's done. You can just add more ink. I love that about Copics. Then again, the Promarkers, another brand I'm using here, never needed a refill and I've had them for the same time. Let me explain my marker journey. Promarkers are the first alcohol markers I ever bought, along with one Copic Ciao. I only got 4 colors I like because the markers were quite expensive for me. I had to refill that one Copic already, yet all the Promarkers still work great. But the Promarkers I own don't have a brush tip, and I do like the brush tip. So it has its pros and cons. Since then I bought more Promarkers, but I wanted the full Copic experience. I've always dreamed of owning one of those sets. They're expensive though, so I thought, people sell their things all the time. Surely someone must be eventually selling a still working set of these markers they no longer use. And sure enough, after some digging, I found a listing of a lady who had a set which she didn't use as much anymore and wanted to sell it. I got a great price on it, and only one marker wasn't working from the set, which she told me beforehand. If you're also dreaming of owning a set of these, search through your local marketplaces and try to get these secondhand. But you can also get a set of the cheaper alcohol marker brands, like the Arteza Everblend art marker set of 60 I am using here. These were also gifted to me a while back. They work great too. I like using them in my sketchbook. However, you have to know that due to the lower price, some of the colors are not light fast at all. That means the colors will get lighter over time. I also experienced some of the colors leaving a yellow stain on the opposite page when the sketchbook is closed. That being said, if you don't care about the archival quality and just want to play around with some markers, these are cool. Apart from the 60 color set, Arteza also sent me the skin tone and gray packs. The skin tone one offers a wonderful variety of beiges, browns and neutrals, and is definitely great if you want to get some variety in your skin tones. The gray pack has a lot of grays. Like, you would be surprised how many shades of gray they can come up with. Definitely some nice ones too. Maybe it's a preference thing, but if you are deciding between these two, I would recommend you to get the skin tone pack, as I'm definitely using that one more, but I like to use warm colors in general. The last part of our video will be dedicated to colored pencils. Starting with a cool gimmicky one, the Chameleon Color Tones set of 25, aka 50 colors, because each pencil is double-sided. One side is a lighter shade, the other is a darker shade that goes well with the lighter one. So you can add more depth without having to switch your tool, which is really fun, and I would definitely buy these again myself. Next up, the Arteza colored pencils in 72. Yeah, I know, another Arteza. They loved sending me stuff back in the day, and you know what? I don't have anything bad to say about them. They offer nice, affordable art supplies. The set is nice. I like using it for details and slight shading, as I'm doing here, but yet again, it lacks a nice deep red. Where are all my nice deep reds? Art companies, please. Though I have to say there's a lot of lovely greens and blues. But the colored pencils that have a special place in my heart are the water-soluble ones. Ever since I was a child, I kept telling everyone to get aquarell colored pencils because the shades will be so much richer. And yes, I was telling that mainly to other kids because they sold affordable packs of these next to the sad school ones whose only mark on the paper was the dent from the awful excuse of a lead. I got a set of 24 of the Koh-i-noor ones as a kid, and there are only a few tiny stubs of that set left, and I'm determined to finish using it. Then I got the set of 72 for one of my birthdays. And let me tell you, this was the best gift for a child with an art hobby. I loved these, and I still use them to this day. And I don't even use them how they were intended to, which I didn't before, with water. You can get really nice rich blends of color, as I demonstrated on the apple, and I'm showing now on the trees, because yes, I wanted to draw more trees. I think I'm getting the hang of it. But this will be it for our tool demonstration. I hope you found some inspiration for your art, and that if you're looking for new art supplies, this helped you to find out what might work for you the best. If you liked the sketchbook themed video, you will likely enjoy this one too, so go check it out.